Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast, presented by Fabrica 5. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Senator, Pagoda, Chef Ricky, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some rum, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 169th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We find ourselves perplexed by the flavor notes in this cigar. We explore the rich histories of both pairings in detail, and we revisit the plume versus mold debate, all among a variety of other things for the next 2 hours. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair 13-year-old K&L exclusive Trois Rivières Single Barrel Agricole Rum with the Paul Garmirian Gourmet Series 25th anniversary in Belicoso. A Dominican Belicoso tonight on the pod. This is the Paul Garmirian Gourmet Series 25th anniversary in Belicoso, and it's a 52 ring gauge cigar by 6 1/4 inches long. And boys, I had never heard of Paul Garmirian. I know that Roosters had them before.
In the 70s.
In the 70s. But I was so intrigued by this story, and I can't wait to talk about this guy tonight. This is going to be, I think this is going to be a real surprise and a treat for us tonight.
You know, honestly, I saw the band and I just half looked at it. I thought it said 25 cents at the bottom, not 25th.
What was your comment on the bands, Senator?
The band looks like a 12-year-old made it with an inkjet printer. I mean, this is
It looks like a 7-Eleven cigar.
Elementary of a band as I've seen. The secondary band is the worst one. This looks like a Microsoft Word template.
That's what I'm saying. I
The
thought that was
secondary
25
band
cents.
it's very simple, but the primary band is not. I mean, it's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
The aroma on the wrapper is delicious, I have to admit.
It is. You know what? Honestly, the foot smells Cuban to me.
I like
foot. I'm getting a ton of barnyard.
Barnyard.
Oh yeah, which I kind of like.
Like not the cleanest barn.
The wrapper's kind of
The wrapper's better, yeah.
The
I like the
wrapper's
wrapper.
way better.
The wrapper's really nice too. It's oily, dark.
Yeah. I've never heard of this cigar. I've never had it.
Well, here we are tonight, boys.
All right.
These have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah,
40s, 50s.
Let's cut this thing, boys.
in 20s, 30s.
See what we're getting on the cold draw and the wrapper.
You set yourself up for that one. Wide open.
Draw's great.
Jeez, really open.
A little too open. Pretty nice cold draw, sweet. Prune. Getting prune.
I'm getting almost like a hint of cream on the cold draw.
Wow.
Like
Actually,
like a lactic type.
the longer you do it, it's like raspberry for me.
Pagoda, did you take off enough of the on the cigar?
Can I see? Holy Jesus.
No, I took a little
You
bit.
ruined the cigar.
Just look at the comparison.
I took a little bit off, and then I took a little bit additional off.
He's going to start
Yeah,
canoeing
no.
the moment he lights.
No, I just wanted to make sure there was enough smoke output today.
Holy cow.
This is why he needs the V cut.
You can't recognize it as a pyramid now. So
I love the cold draw.
I do too. The longer you go, the more you get more and more it develops into a raspberry for me.
Can you do a retrohale on the cold draw?
No, I need smoke for that.
Speaking of smoke, boys, let's light this thing. The Paul
Oh, man.
Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso. Again, it's from the Dominican Republic. 52 ring gauge cigar by 6 1/4 inches long. The debut of Paul Garmirian on the podcast tonight. This specific cigar, like I said, we'll go through the story. This specific cigar was released in September 2024. Only 200 boxes were made available of 20 cigars. So 4,000 total cigars of this Vitola. There are 2 others we'll talk about. And of course, there are a bunch of other Paul Garmirian cigars you can find. And he has a really intriguing story, so stay tuned for that.
Did you tell us how much the cigar was?
So this cigar is right around $25.
Holy cow, that's expensive.
Is it servicing a charity or
Better
something?
be good.
Well, I think the idea is that it's boutique. And what I love about Paul is he is a Cuban cigar fanatic. And like you do when you have to buy a cigar from Cuba, a box of cigars, you have to let them rest. He ages his tobacco. They roll them, they box them, and then he'll age them for long periods of time before release.
Mhm.
So I believe these cigars or this tobacco was harvested in 2015-ish, and they didn't come out for almost 10 years. So quite a bit of age on these.
This is good off the light.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying when this first came out, there were only 200 boxes?
This cigar, this Vitola, there were only 200 boxes available, 20 cigars each. 4,000 total cigars came out in September of 24. So only 5 or 6 months ago.
Are you sure on that?
Yeah,
This particular Vitola, only 200 boxes were made?
correct.
That's so little.
Really?
Yep.
That's bizarre.
Released in September 24. There are 2 other sizes in this line, the PG 25th Connoisseur and the PG 25th Short Robusto. Both were released in different quantities at different times. And like I said, we'll go through that in a little bit. So there are 3 sizes in this line.
But are they like, do they sell everywhere, or it's only coming out from one store, or
No, so he has,
online?
I believe he has 200 retailers worldwide. He does not sell direct. He only sells through, authorized dealers
So 1 box per
One
retailer.
box per
Worldwide.
retailer.
effectively.
Amazing.
Yeah, but this is probably out of interest, right? It seems like a
Not a good business model.
They do make other Vitolas. It's not just this.
Yeah, they have a lot of cigars, and
I'm
they're
kidding.
and he's selling a lot of cigars.
So what is selling? Because clearly it's not this if there's only 200 boxes of these.
There's a bunch of other lines.
Make a gourmet series.
Yeah, the
which
gourmet
is supposed to be
series.
good.
It's for the chef.
you got chef excited over there.
This is the gourmet series.
Yeah, but this is the 25th anniversary, so they have regular
I
gourmet
see.
series as
Yeah,
well.
they have 4 different kinds of gourmet series. The gourmet series, the original blend, gourmet series 2, gourmet series 3, 30th anniversary. They have a Reserva Exclusiva. They have a 25th anniversary that we have in our hand right now, the 20th, the 15th anniversary, Soiree, Maduro, Artisan Selection, Artisan's Passion. And like I said, what I love about what they do here is you can go on their website right now and purchase cigars that were rolled in 1996.
Wow.
5 packs, 10 packs.
And
whatnot.
at an elevated price or standard?
So a
MSRP.
single of the PG Celebration rolled in 1996 is $33.90.
It never sold. That's what it
That's
is.
right. But there's also the whole question in this industry about how do you validate that? How do you know that's true?
Well, you have to trust where you're getting them from, and this guy is very well
Yeah.
connected, and
I'm sure.
his cigars are rolled at
Yeah.
Tabacalera Dominicanas.
Apparently, this guy has a PhD.
Yeah,
Right?
He's a doctor.
Yeah.
But we question
In what?
Cigars.
Oh, really?
Is that a thing? We question Opus and their aging program. Are they really aging their material? That we don't know. Right?
Yeah, there's
Just a
lots of
question.
guys who age cigars in Tupperware and then sell them in singles.
Correct.
Who knows?
Many victims.
We'll talk about that in a little bit
Many
too.
victims down that road.
So, boys, what are you getting on the light of the PG 20?
I'm getting a lot of pepper right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting some black pepper, white pepper. It's peppery, spicy.
I do get a little pepper.
I got a little pepper, but I am getting some dried fruit here. I'm getting a little bit in the front, followed by some pepper on the back of my palate.
The retro hail is a little fruity, but there's a good amount of cocoa for me. The aroma on the foot, that deep barnyard kind of went to like a savory thing for me. It's very smooth. It's pleasant. The traditional draw, I think you're right. Just a touch of white pepper maybe, and dried apple.
It's more than
I'm
a
getting
touch
some
for
apple
me.
there.
It's more than a touch of pepper. Smell the burn line, and your nose, it's like you just smelled a ton of black pepper.
I like.
You see what I'm saying?
It did get me.
Yeah, it's really intense.
too.
I
It
like the burn line, man.
It does smell good.
Yeah.
Take it.
smells good, but then
you
when
can't
you
come in
really
hot
take
on
it in, you get a lot of pepper like in your nose.
I
Less-
imagine that's going to go away.
Getting a
Yeah.
little on the burn line. I'm getting a little black pepper and also a funk from like a brie, like that ammonia funk you would get from a triple creme cheese or something,
Or
like
from
that, from
horse
the
foot.
rind. Yeah.
Not a double cream from a triple cream.
Triple cream. Yeah.
Or a pair of horsefoot. This is. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
I can't say there's anything wrong with it right now.
Yeah, it's different. I find it to be a little savory, like you said. I'm getting a
Mhm.
little bit salty.
Yeah.
I'm tasting some pepper. I think it's black pepper. I would say is closest to. On the retrohale, I'm getting a unique fruit. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's sweeter.
Did you say apple?
I got like a dry apple.
Bam calling out dried apple, I thought was very nice.
I think that's accurate.
If you have, sometimes you have like dried apple, there's a little funkiness to that because it's sliced longer. When they dry it, it kind of curls around.
You mean mold?
No, but when you have dried apple,
That's just
there's
on the
a little
cheese.
sweetness and it's a little funky, almost like a cream that's about to go bad, which I happen to like in certain foods.
You mean like a dehydrated apple?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm getting here.
Yeah, I think on longer draws on this cigar, you're more likely to get some more developed flavors. Got some cedar coming through now.
To me, this cigar kind of resembles like some of the Davidoffs that we have had in the past. Maybe the Nicaraguan or the Yamasa series.
Maybe, yeah. Not the Nicaraguan.
Yeah, Yamasa, I think maybe is
Probably.
closer.
Yeah.
It has that mushroomy note.
That's that funkiness that I'm trying to put my finger on.
It's so funny you said I've lost all dried fruit and I'm now in umami, mushroom,
It's
funk,
nice.
earth.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
It's satisfying though. It's
It-
like
it's
intriguing and
It's-
satisfying.
Yeah.
It's weird to be getting so much out of something that we've been smoking for such a short period.
When was the
That-
last time, Rooster, you've had this? You said you had this.
Oh,
Years?
1920s, like you said. No, probably around like
At least he's leaning into it now.
Correct.
late 90s, I would say. 98, 99.
Okay. And how do you compare the two?
This is totally different. This is completely a different blend. They used to be very mild. Used to be a mild to medium, more like a Davidoff Grand Cru or the those milder Avo series, initial Avos.
Would you guys say that this is firmly medium?
I would say so right now.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I am so intrigued by this cigar right now. There's so much that we're talking about here that I don't ever recall mentioning on the pod. Mushroom, dried apple. Some of the notes here, I just, my brain is like totally tweaked by it.
I think we have gotten a mushroom note on another cigar.
Yeah. I want to say it was
Talked about
the Partagas 3.
Maduro 3.
The Maduro 3, I think, gave us some savory mushroom notes. Probably. Might have been that one.
Yeah, it could have been.
Going back to this cigar, though, it completely dried out on me, and it's giving me super, like, not in a bad way. It's just, I'm not getting any more dried fruit.
Senator, what are you thinking?
I'm confused by this cigar. I'm not sure where I'm gonna fall. Like, I don't
Can I just
know.
ask a quick question? Sorry to interrupt. Do you think
Yeah.
our palates have been ruined by that My Father we did 2 weeks ago?
They're still ruined.
The cigar of the year.
Forever.
Do you think that like maybe we have to just quit? Like, is
For a
everything
month.
wrong now?
We need
I
a month
think,
off.
I think we need some ayahuasca or something.
I'm sorry, Senator.
Can I sit in a
you.
dark room for a month?
exactly.
Some CBT therapy. Get through it.
But no, I'm just very confused by this because I had expected that this would lean sweeter in flavor profile. And then the notes have been more earthy and savory. And so I've been surprised by that. The pepper also really threw me. I wasn't expecting that, at least based on the cold draw. So I just don't really yet know that I can say I understand what this is trying to be. And if this stays as dry and earthy as some of the notes I've gotten, this is probably not going to be for me. If this gets back to some of the sweeter notes that I got a little bit of when we started smoking this, I'll be happier. So for me, the jury's very much out.
I doubt it's going to get sweet again. Are you still getting pepper?
It's subsided,
Me
but
too.
the pepper was so
it's tamed
strong.
down.
It's like it still lingers a little bit on my palate. Like I really wish there was none of that pepper.
There's definitely a salt and pepper thing happening.
Absolutely.
It's kind of become that for me. And that savoriness, it's almost become like an onion type of background. I don't know. It's something in that family for me, which I actually don't mind from time to time. I rarely get that in a cigar, but it's happened.
You're 100% right. Spring day, walking in your backyard, and you got wild onions popping up out of
Thank
your
you.
grass, right?
Exactly.
And you break and you pop those out.
That's exactly what
and
this
that's
is.
exactly what this
Senator,
is.
I think we should leave them here. I'll leave the mics
I
up.
think
We're
they
gonna-
need
we got
the dark room and the ayahuasca.
We
I
got
just
two
came out of a dark room, motherfucker.
we got two farmers out here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Wait a minute. Are you guys growing onions in your
Onion
backyard?
backyard.
No, but there's wild onions popping up all over your yards. They pop up as weeds. You'll see them.
We
They'll
call them
walk out there.
dandelions. No?
No.
No.
Onions?
That's a hell of a note there, Bam. I'm impressed again.
But
That's
am I
awesome.
wrong?
No, you're not. That's what I'm impressed. This is a really different cigar.
I'm curious to hear what Pagoda's getting, because my theory is, as we all, especially because we all kind of cut this properly, as opposed to Pagoda.
Yeah. Oh, so Pagoda.
It's not that bad.
It's on the curve. You created the Lincoln Tunnel there.
What a nice way to say you overcut you.
What are you getting, dude?
It's on the curve.
No, let me.
I feel like he's used that before.
So I'll tell you, I'm going to start and you're all going to be laughing again. But still, I think for me, when I started at the light, I got just one strong whiff of like a dark chocolate, and it just went away.
It was sweet early on.
It was a little bananish. I don't know, like a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Went away. Then it became very earthy. For me, it's tobacco and earthy.
Okay.
And on the side of my tongue, it's really like, it's not a very pleasant. It's I think short to medium finish, bit drier, and leaves a very tobacco like.
Yeah.
Not a very pleasant. You know how like some cigars, I love the pleasant feeling it leaves on the palate. This does not at all. So I'm still trying to understand what it is doing.
Are you not liking it at all?
And I'm not there yet.
Really?
Not like I would be right
Okay.
now. I'm at a 5.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not loving it either. I'm kind of in the same camp as Pagoda.
I'm kind of.
I kind
In
of
a
like
weird way, I like it.
I like
It's just
it
it
too.
is definitely a different. It is an outlier. This cigar.
This
for
is an
sure.
outlier. It's different. I'm completely intrigued.
Me too.
My palate is bouncing off the wall right now.
Yeah.
With all these different notes and the different things we're tasting. One thing I think we can all agree on, it's not boring
No.
and it's not a simple flavored cigar. I think there's a lot of complexity in it, whether or not it's for you.
Here's a question.
We'll get there, but
As far as snacking, if you were snacking and having this cigar with the caviar and some chips, your typical. You would not have caviar with this thing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That salty brininess with the caviar, I think
I
would
don't get a
complement
lot
this
of
cigar.
brininess in this.
I get saltiness. in
I'm
this
getting
thing.
saltiness for sure.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Or
think-
anything
I'm
like
also-
that salty.
I'm also
That's-
loving the combustion.
I think cheese
That's
with
nice.
this, just to kind of
Cheese.
carry on,
That's a good idea.
just extend some of the flavors. So the reason I asked what I asked about Pagoda, I feel like the drier draws, the initial draws that we were taking, were sweeter, and then as we continue
Yeah.
drawing on our cigar, the opening got a little bit more wet with our own saliva and whatnot, and it almost feels like the flavor is changing. So I was thinking if maybe Pagoda's draw just starting wide open, if he was still getting some dried fruit notes as opposed to these
No, it became more earthier.
earthy cedar.
Yeah, and tobacco earthy. Like
Yeah.
not a very. Sometimes you get a pleasant earthiness as well. I'm not getting that at all.
I think
for
that's
some
the
reason.
barnyard
Yeah,
note.
maybe.
I think. Yeah.
Is this all Dominican tobacco?
I believe it is, except for the filler we don't know. So the wrapper is Oscuro Maduro. The binder is Dominican barrel aged. And there are 4 fillers in the cigar which are not detailed.
Onion
so
skin.
there is a potential that there's something else in here that could be Nicaraguan, could be Honduran, could be Costa Rican, who knows? But those are not defined.
That's
in the
strange.
cigar. The
Could be
Didn't
medio
we recently
tiempo.
do a Dominican cigar with 4 different types of Dominicans in? I thought that smoked really well. I thought I
I
don't know
don't
which
remember
it
what
was.
that was.
Yeah.
Was that the Davidoff Maduro?
No. It's totally like I know that we had something with 4 or 5 different fillers in it. Yeah. All right.
All right, boys, let's go through the story of Paul Garmirian. He was born Boghos K. Garmirian in Beirut, Lebanon, and he's much more than a cigar maker. He has been or is a professor, a real estate broker, an author, a doctor, and a cigar retailer. He was born, like I said, in Beirut, and his father was a construction executive building government buildings and whatnot. When he was 11, his father could no longer go to work due to a work-related injury and was not able to support his son's education. He promised his father, or Paul's grandfather, someday that he would build and donate a school for Armenian youth and name it after him. And the father was able to fulfill his promise with the completion of the Boghos K. Garmirian School, named in honor of his father in 1974 in Lebanon, in a suburb of Beirut. And his father lived the rest of his life as a philanthropist. Paul Garmirian, the guy who made this cigar, earned his PhD in international politics, senator, from the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. in 1975, returned to Beirut thereafter to teach, and then quickly turned right back around to the U.S. when the Lebanese Civil War broke out, and he's been here ever since. He lectured on politics and international marketing and managed his real estate firm in McLean, Virginia until 1990, when he stepped away to move fully into the cigar industry. After 2 years of research and writing, Paul first released The Gourmet Guide to Cigars, which is a book that he released after 7 years of research and 2 years of writing. It's been reprinted 10 times since then in 2 different languages. The publication of his book resulted in the opportunity to work with Hendrik Kellner, president of Tabacos Dominicanos, and Helado Diaz, the chief blender in Santiago, Dominican Republic. What followed was an experimentation and hard work by an extremely skilled and talented Dominican artisans whose spirit and innovation fused the PG cigar into existence. The initial release of the PG line consisted of the traditional Cuban sizes, introduced to Georgetown Tobacco in Washington, D.C. in November of 1990. The initial 7 sizes were the Churchill, the Belicoso, which was the first time that shape appeared in the United States market at all, aside from when it was, with Cuban cigars before the embargo, the number 1, the number 2, the Corona Grande, the Lonsdale, and the Corona. They all were officially released nationwide after that first release in late 1990 at a cigar dinner in Chicago on May 1st, 1991. That was the PG Gourmet Series 1. The Gourmet Series 2, which potentially was what Rooster was talking about having in the late 90s, was launched in 1999 in 2 shapes, the Torpedo and the Robusto. In late 2001, the Connoisseur and Belicoso Finos were added. The Reserva Exclusiva, an exceptional cigar from 10-year-old tobaccos, they say, also arrived in late 2001 in Corona Extra and Belicoso. Then they had a few other sizes that joined in early 2002. 2005, the 15th anniversary of PG, they released a full-bodied blend. It was a Belicoso Extra made in 1,000 boxes of 15, quickly sold out. In 2006, the blend became a line of 9 sizes called 15th Anniversary, which I guess is still available today. During the blending of the 15th anniversary, PG came across a full-bodied blend, which after further blending was released in 2006 as the PG Soiree in 3 different sizes. He says that it's a perfect after-dinner cigar. 2010 and the 20th anniversary, they came up with the limited edition cigar in 1 size, which was a 52x6 Toro, made available to the top 25 PG authorized dealers. In 2015, the cigar we're smoking right now, this blend marked the 25th anniversary, and 25,000 connoisseurs were made and packed in 1,250 boxes. Like I said, these cigars, the entire 25th contains a Oscuro Maduro wrapper, the 4 fillers, and the Dominican barrel-aged binder. In 2016, they released 150 boxes of short Robusto, and then this one that we have in our hand was released in September 2024 and was limited to 200 boxes of 20 cigars. In 2020, they celebrated their 30th anniversary with the Gourmet Series 3. Also, like I said, he owns a retail store with his son Kevork in McLean, Virginia. Kevorka. They purchased McLean Cigars, which was an existing retailer. Then they made it a Paul Garmirian boutique. So if you like what he does, if you go to McLean, Virginia, you can visit them. He has made an SD DuPont lighter with Elaine at SD DuPont. He has LE Blue humidors for PG, ashtrays, tons of accessories. And in 2023, he released his second book, an autobiography and memoir titled The Road to Cigars. In it, he lays out the stories of his friendships with people like Edward Sahakian, who owns the Davidoff shop in London very famously, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, Pierre Salinger, who was President Kennedy's press secretary, and many more, and allegedly Presidents Clinton and both Presidents Bush, as well as David Letterman, love Paul Garmirian cigars. And that is the story on PG. Pretty wild.
Very impressive.
Pretty cool story. That's why, normally I would pare that down.
That's incredible.
Right, for when we're reading it here, but I didn't feel that any of that was like, could be cut. Like, I think this story is fascinating.
He's had a fulfilling life,
he
for
has.
sure.
Well, and he's still alive, right?
With cigars, of course. No, but cigars. Like,
yeah. It seems like he's taken an intellectual approach to crafting his career in the cigar business. Yep. Very impressive.
I just can't believe I've never come across this guy. He's a big DC guy.
A huge DC
this guy got his PhD at American. One of those cigars, you said he first released it at Georgetown Tobacco. That was my tobacconist when I lived in DC.
He's best friends with that guy.
That's amazing.
The owner of Georgetown Tobacco, I think, was the reason that Paul got into the cigar industry. He fell in love with, cigars in DC at Georgetown Tobacco.
And then the McLean part. So it's weird. I know it's spelled McLean. Everybody calls it McLean.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And McLean is a very, very nice suburb outside of DC. One, I never knew there's a tobacco shop there. So that's amazing. He's got a shop.
Yep.
And then two, I think you mentioned he was a real estate broker.
He must have made a lot of money.
Well, yeah, he must have done well. It's not cheap to live in McLean.
To stop working to make cigars.
And he was a doctor.
And he was a doctor of international politics, I believe.
Yeah.
No, but
Very
real estate
cool.
did really well
All
there.
right, when we do a lizard trip to DC, we got to look him up.
I think we need to interview this guy because you think about all that he's done, like Pagoda was saying, like what a fulfilled life.
Absolutely.
I mean, coming from Beirut and everything that he's done, it's pretty amazing.
How old is he now? Do you know?
I would guess that if he graduated college with a doctorate in 75, so that would mean he probably got his bachelor's in 70.
He's 102.
So that would put him at
Abuela's age.
No.
Oh, slightly younger.
80, 85.
No, I don't think so.
How old are you when you get a doctorate in international
22
politics?
is your
just
bachelor's
do the math
degree.
from when we think he graduated college. You're roughly 21, 22 when you graduate college.
So that was in let's say in 1970.
70.
So probably about 28 to 30 years old with a PhD, maybe
Around 80s.
another 6 years.
He's got to be close to 80.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Like Senator said, I think it'd be great to sit down with him and just pick his brain and have a cigar in the same room with him. That'd be great.
I just can't believe I've never encountered this guy. Like the DC cigar community is not that extensive. I'm really surprised by this.
I think the cigar itself is not really sought after. It's not well known.
No.
It's a very boutique brand and very few stores actually carry this.
Let me ask have you ever heard of this cigar, Senator?
Never.
Neither have I.
Never.
And
by the way, the only reason that we're doing this cigar is because we have gotten, I would say in the lifetime of this podcast, probably somewhere between 15 and 25. I don't know the exact number of people saying,
no way,
please smoke Paul Garmirian cigars. I swear to God.
That's crazy.
It's a boutique brand that people love. Huh. It's definitely very boutique. And I think he is intentional with that. You know, I think he wants to put out a very specific type of product at a very specific type of quality. And
I mean,
I think he's a quality over dollars kind of guy.
I believe that, but he's got to do better with his marketing. I mean, I'm just saying that, like, I lived in DC for a while. I used to go to Georgetown Tobacco all the time. No one, and this was earlier in my journey. So like I was looking for recommendations from a tobacconist. Never once did anyone at Georgetown Tobacco recommend I pick up a PG cigar?
Or any of us.
I thought you were talking about blending. Then, oh my Lord, he's going to do it.
Also worth noting is the connection with the Davidoff. You know, with the Hendrik Kellner and Diaz. As the blender.
Eladio Diaz. And then these cigars are sold in Davidoff of London. Yeah. The Sahakians. He's friends with Edward Sahakian. That's where I have usually seen these cigars, is at a Davidoff store.
I gotta say, if I cover the band here and I just look at my burn line and my ash, I feel like I'm smoking a Davidoff. Like, this is a beautiful burn line.
It's performing.
The burn line's really performing well. The construction is great.
Smoke output's great.
So
it's also worth reading that book.
Yeah, I actually picked up. For to kind of color some of the information I was finding, there was an ebook of that most recent one he just put out. I got it for $10 today, and so I was paging through that. I mean, his life story is pretty incredible. So, what are you guys thinking about the cigar right now? As I was running through all that history
all the spice is gone.
Right now, it's volleying back and forth for me between like pine nuts or sunflower seeds.
Oh, that's very accurate,
and
dude.
Pepper.
Are you getting any? I'm getting just a hint of sweetness coming back to me.
I am too, and I'm getting just a little bit of citrus right now.
I wish there was sweetness. I'm seeking that out.
It's no longer sweetness like dried fruit, but it's a hint of sweetness like you would find in a creamy nut.
If it's citrus, it's lemon. It's nothing else but lemon for me.
It's creamy. I must say, it's that note is there.
This is a very dodgy cigar. It's all over the place. It's hard to put your thumb on what this is for you, right?
I mean, I'm not even at the halfway point, and the flavors, the various flavors that we've gotten here, it's really interesting.
I wish it had a bit of Nicaraguan wrapper or something. I don't know, something to really.
Let me ask you a question: hasn't it captured your attention at least because it's interesting?
I don't know. I've just been seeking something more. I've not been enjoying the flavor profile at all.
Wow, not at all.
No, it's
I'm very intrigued.
Oh, me too.
I do think this is for a very like specific palate. Like this is very dry.
It's dry.
You've got to enjoy like a drier smoke for this to be something that you'd pick up regularly. I mean, there's nothing that's like, sweet or juicy or just like something that really like tantalizes your palate. Like this is not a mouth-watering type of like cigar.
But
Definitely
I
not.
feel like I'm getting that kind of umami hit where it's like it's something is satisfying my brain. I don't know if it's because it's so intriguing or
kind of there
different.
too.
But I'm very entertained by this cigar.
I don't mean the brain. I mean literally your palate. Like there are certain cigars when like that smoke hits your palate, it's like your mouth is watering.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
like something
this
about that
doesn't
profile.
activate
This is
salivary
very
glands.
dry.
Very
Like
dry.
it's the opposite of that.
Not wrong.
And I've been
Super
drinking water,
short
really.
Finish. Yeah, super
Agreed.
short finish.
So I'm curious in about another half inch of your cigar, if you start touching any type of a sweet note, you too, chef.
I did get back to sweet.
Just a little bit.
I think, it started getting a little bit, like I
Can I
said.
tell you what that is? No.
Yeah, go for it. Let me see.
I can't tell you what it is. 'Cause I don't know.
I thought you were asking permission.
I have no fucking idea what it is, but it's there.
Chef,
There's a
please,
little bit of sweetness.
Can I tell
there.
you what it is?
No, I said, can I tell you? No.
All right, boys, let's move into a pairing. And before we do this, we have a birthday in the room tonight.
Excuse me.
Our friend Rooster.
Oh, abuelo.
Do you want to guess how old he is, Bam, while I get the gift?
Well, he is, I think, officially a vampire. No one knows how old he is. He stays the same. I've known you longer than anyone in this room, and you have not changed.
You said the same for you.
That's a merit, by the way.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
We hope
birthday.
Bam has changed. That's not. Don't say that back.
All
All those hours we hoped to
in
do
some
something.
ways, yes.
So, we normally would have champagne and savor it. And that's obviously inappropriate for a guy who doesn't choose to partake
Correct.
in our pairings every episode and rating those. So we decided to bring him a non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, Guinness.
And I brought him a Guinness Zero,
Beautiful.
which we
Thank
rated
you.
very highly.
Awesome.
And I also do have a gift for you. That's not as
Love the
impressive
Guinness.
as this. Something I know that you've wanted.
Ooh.
I brought you a 2014
Coro?
Lub 14 Cohiba Robusto.
Oh my
You.
god! Didn't you give me one of those in Cuba last
No.
year, same time?
I think he did. I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
You don't want it?
Of course not. No, didn't you give me one of these at Tropicana?
I don't think it was the Lub 14.
Can you
I think it
show?
was,
Can you
18
be
or
more
19.
gracious in accepting that incredible cigar?
Yes.
I'm
thank
very
you.
disappointed.
Is
Lub
it your
14.
birthday? Is it
No.
wait till your birthday.
But I'm looking at you. You're not very gracious. Let's just show some gratitude.
I'm very grateful for this.
Listen,
Thank you.
at Rooster's age, you've seen it all.
Oh, you know what? That's true.
Well, happy birthday, Rooster.
Thank you.
Happy
And I love
birthday.
2014. Anything out of 2014.
And it's a
is
Lub 14.
fantastic.
It's a Lub 14.
Wow.
Special.
That's
Pagoda's. Wait till you get Pagoda's gift. He's got a great Xeno 2014 for you.
You know, he knows better now.
I do know better.
Because there's something in this bag for him that I'll take right back.
All right, boys. Now let's move into our pairing tonight. We have a very, very kind listener gift from a friend of ours, Lizard Shaky, who sent us this very, very exclusive, high-priced rum. This is the, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Wait till I go through the history on this. All this French, I'm screwed. It's Trois Rivières? How would you pronounce that in French, you think?
I can't read it from here. Is that an R?
It is a French plantation rum. It's an Agricole extra old. It was distilled in 2006. It's 13 years old rum. And this specific bottle that we have was selected by and bottled exclusively for K&L Wine Merchant, which I guess is a wine merchant
They're big.
in
They're
California.
big.
And this is a single cask at 51.3% alcohol tonight on the pot. So this bottle, I think, was
Say the percent again.
51.3.
Oh, I thought you said 61. I was
No.
like, geez, I'm going to sit this a lot slower.
Oh, yeah.
So let's try this, boys. Cheers. Happy
Cheers.
birthday,
Cheers.
Rooster.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
birthday
you.
to you. And thanks to Lizard Shaky out there for sending this. We're drinking this neat for all the purists out there.
Trois Rivières.
Trois Rivières.
Or Rivières.
Trois Rivières. There you go.
Thank you, Siri.
This is very interesting.
Wow.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I mean, I'll just say as a pairing, this was desperately needed with this cigar because
Amen
this
to
has
that.
like
Yeah.
a lot
It's
of
true.
that like sweet, like sugarcane notes that
It's true.
just really helps balance this cigar better.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Pagoda, what are you thinking about this spirit?
Yeah. So initially when I
Maybe you want to get out of bed.
I'm so comfortable here. Initially when I put my nose to the drink, it was pretty rough. I thought it was slightly unbearable. But now that
I couldn't disagree more.
And now that it's spent some time airing out, it's a lot more fruitier, I think, and a little bit of the sugarcane, but more fruity. I'm getting. So I don't know. Let's have the first sip.
I'm with Pagoda on the nose.
Yeah,
the
same.
nose was like gasoline when I first smelled
I agree.
it, but it has definitely decanted a bit.
Yeah.
And now you're actually able to discern like some pleasant notes.
Chef, what was your verdict on the nose? I'm curious.
The nose I enjoy, and I remember listening to the Clarin episode, the Rum Agricole from Haiti.
Oh, that didn't go well.
Yeah, that didn't go well, and I remember being excited for that because I'm actually a fan of Haitian Clarin. It reminds me a lot of mezcal and its artisanal quality and how
Rooster's
small
feeling
batch it
vindicated
is.
after bringing us that awful bottle.
I guess Chef wasn't on that day.
No, I wasn't.
No, I wish he could have drank it for me.
That was the one we opened the bottle and it smelled like milk had gone bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
But did you
Spoiled
guys?
milk.
Nobody tasted
No.
it. I
No,
think
nobody
just
did. We
opened it and
we
closed
all
it.
gagged just from the smell. We
We
couldn't
were
even taste
terrified.
I guess it was the fermented sugar cane, right? That's
Yeah,
what was
so
giving it the.
It's because
aroma.
of how rum agricole is made, right? So all the rum that we do drink on the pod, it's rum, not rum agricole. Rum is distilled from molasses. Rum agricole is distilled from sugarcane. But first, the sugarcane is brought down to about it's fermented to a 5% ABV. At that point, it's then distilled to create the agricole. And agricole is French for agriculture. So it's pulling or calling to the terroir from which the sugarcane comes from. So obviously cooking food from different cultures, and before I've sort of become invested in the Mexican flavor profile, I was very big into Asian food, and working with sugarcane often, and sometimes in those cultures, especially here in the States, you're working with sugarcane from a can. So that nose of rum agricole reminds me of opening a can of sugarcane,
Wow.
of cooked sugarcane. That's what that is. And there's also a very popular, I wouldn't say very popular, but a rum that I love coming out of Oaxaca, Mexico, called Para Nubes. And it's made by David Suro. And it has a very similar aroma to these agricoles in that it smells like cooked sugarcane.
Was this from that brand that I tried? Remember I went
Yes.
to
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
actually good.
Yeah.
The rum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've
if-
had what
if-
he's talking about.
if
It's
you-
shockingly good.
Yeah, if you smell the nose on that, and that rum's is non-aged. Now they have an aged variant. But if you smell the nose on the rum agricole, maybe with whatever sour notes aside, they all have a similar nose, and that nose is of cooked sugarcane.
So the context there, this was bizarre. When I was at a PCA event in Chicago, they had a tequila tasting. They had a bunch of different. I mean, there was a whiskey tasting tequila, but I was with this guy, and the guy really blew my mind. He was awesome. I have his card. We'll hopefully have him on the pod at some point. And I was mentioning this, and Chef Ricky knew exactly who I was talking about. And in the course of this tequila tasting, this guy goes, "Have you ever tried the rum we make?" And I'm like, "Rum? How could this possibly be anything worth drinking?" And it was shockingly good.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this?
I mean, this is way better than that Clarin, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's really growing on me.
It does take your palate to adjust to really start to enjoy this thing.
I'll be honest, I'm really surprised, guys, that you're taking time to enjoy this spirit from the nose, from the first sip. I really love this rum.
I'll say this.
Because he's gulping it, that's why.
I'm not gulping.
Well, I don't know about that. but
That's on your list.
All
I
right,
would
it
never
is.
gulp.
It is.
I do think, well, what's on his list, you did pull out a Ziploc bag to give Rooster his cigars. So
I always bring a Ziploc bag to the pod.
I'm
We've
okay
gone
with
through
that,
this.
Giz. Anytime you want to give me a love core out of a Ziploc bag, I'm good.
Happy birthday,
I'm
bro.
good. Thank you.
Oh, my Lord.
These fuckers, no.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
You guys are out.
All right.
but on the spirit, I do think when you poured yours, I don't think that you immediately smelled the nose or tried it. I always try it a little early.
Me too.
And initially, without it having time to decant, it was a lot more aggressive a spirit than it is now. So I just think like this is something that just needs to decant just a little bit. I think the time definitely helps. And I think the more you drink it and the more it's decanting, like the flavors become more pronounced and it smooths out. So like I'm enjoying what I'm getting now.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have done this with the Claren, Chef.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think it aired out for like a week, right in the lounge, then to smell.
No, I mean, Ricky,
leave it open for a week.
Pour it in a Home Depot bucket.
Have you had the Claren?
I've had Claren before, yes.
Must we talk
So
about the
does
Claren?
that initial
But the exact one that we did,
aroma?
I don't think the exact one, but I've had that brand. Claren's a lot like mezcal and that
Hints of rotten milk.
Yeah. No, and let me.
It's amateur palates.
If
Oh my God.
if we ever get to the point where we do a raicilla on this pod, which is an agave distillate, that shit's gonna blow your mind because some of the nose on that, you can get putrid fruit or rotten milk or like super lactic notes, but then you taste it and it is the most sweet, delicious. It's and there's durian fruits like that, right? Like you break open that fruit, it smells like shit, and then you taste it, and it's some of the sweetest, most delicious flesh.
I think these guys were very turned off just with the initial aroma.
It turned my stomach.
Me too.
I don't think we even poured a glass. It was just out of the
I
bottle.
remember it being very
tried to,
dramatic.
remember?
Yeah,
I did try. I did pour, but I couldn't drink it.
I remember it being
you
very
poured it
dramatic.
for someone at the lounge one night. You almost killed a guy.
Yeah.
No, somebody drink it.
Your friend, he poured it for your friend.
Rooster's-
You almost killed him.
Rooster's desperate need
Harry?
to have someone drink it.
Harry was enjoying it. I think he finished the drink, did he?
Not willingly. The look on his face, and then Rooster was like, "Come on, you're not going to finish
Oh yeah, I
it."
remember that night. All right. Oh wow.
Way too polite.
He was at a point. Anything you pour for him, he would have had.
Yeah, he would have had it.
I don't
Anyway.
think he
And
remembered.
Rooster's like, "I've got a great bottle for you." This guy takes a sip and looks at him like, "What the hell is this?"
because the
Rooster's like,
initial
"You gotta finish
smell
it."
is like that, but I guess it tasted okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we should do it again on the pod.
He had at least 10 like Manhattans and old fashions that night before.
So what's funny on the palate, I'm drinking it, and I'm like, man, this is kind of tasting cognac-ish, and I look, and it's aged in French limousine barrels, so it's cognac cask. And
I will say I am getting just a slight hint of caramel way at the tail end of this thing.
Yeah.
Just a touch.
it's a very complex drink.
I'm loving it.
Very complex.
It's a
drink.
grown man's
Yeah.
drink right there.
Yeah, especially for a rum. It's not one-dimensional in
Very
any way.
small sips. You got to take your time.
Yeah.
So I want to go through the history in a second here, boys, but we're coming to the end of the first third here on the Paul Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso. What's everybody thinking right now? Pairing with the rum, the cigar itself. What are your thoughts?
It's a very savory experience.
I'm really enjoying the cigar
I
as well.
can't say that I don't like it. It's
I think
very
that
different.
that barnyard note is there in the background. That continues to come through.
Yeah. I'd say for me, the Retro Hill's gotten a little bit aggressive, and I think that's because of the proof of the rum, being that the rum is on the hotter side. It's kind of opened up my nasal passages a little bit. So whenever I Retro Hill, it is a bit spicy. I'm really enjoying it, but there is a little bit of hesitance for me here, and I'm not sure because I can't pinpoint everything. I don't understand it.
I feel the same
100%.
about the cigar.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not making me dislike it. It's making it interesting, but it's something that demands time and your attention. You can't smoke this for the sake of just smoking kind of empty, with an empty mind. You need to like pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh, there. I lost it all because
Has it
all
grown
I
on
have
you?
is an empty mind.
So
No, I really do.
has the cigar grown on you at all?
No,
I
not too
think he
much.
just coughed it up.
Okay.
I will say for me, it's gotten better. Again, I still think this is for a particular palate, but what I'm just thrilled with is I do think any sweeter spirit pairs really well with this. And I do like with that how I'm getting sweet and savory through the pairing.
That's a good point.
I do just wish that the cigar could do that on its own, but the pairing is at least solving it for me.
Yeah, any sweet spirit would be a great compliment to this.
So I don't want to talk about ratings, but based on that comment, I do have a question for you. Do you think that given your appreciation of the rum paired with the cigar, do you think that is higher than what you'll probably rate either of them at this point. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the cigar
that enhance the flavor,
like the overall flavor of the pairing, which we don't rate.
Oh yeah,
we rate the cigar, we rate the rum. The overall pairing of both right now. You're saying
the sum is greater than the parts.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying, and I think you're calling out.
That's exactly what I'm getting to.
You know, for me, the rum on its own is very sweet. Like I like a more balanced rum. The cigar is very dry on its own. I like a more balanced cigar. So like together they dance very nicely. But on their own, is my rating going to be as high as if I could only always have these two paired? It will be a bit lower for sure.
Can you guys at all attest to aged tobacco in this cigar? Do you get any?
It doesn't taste young to me. I'm not.
It doesn't
like
taste
youth.
young, but I mean, they're talking about a lot of age on these tobaccos, right?
I would think this tobacco probably has 5 to 6 years on it, but that's a lot of the cigars that we get from Dominican and Nicaragua have that kind of age range on it. So
yeah, I think it's a good question Rooster asked, because if you gave this to me blind and didn't tell me any age statement whatsoever, and I had to guess, I would think there's 1 to 3 years. I would never think this is a 5 or 6 year age cigar. To me, the tobacco isn't as refined as like some other New World cigars we've had that are in like that 5, even 4, 5, 6 year range. I would not suspect on a blind that that's the case.
Do you think that it's that feeling? Is it the presence of the barnyard? Is it the absence of the sweetness? Is it that you're not feeling it's well-rounded?
I think it's the pepper.
The pepper.
For me, that's like the driving force. Like I can't remember ever having like seriously aged tobacco that like is at all as peppery as this cigar started.
Are you still getting that now?
No. It's definitely dissipated, but it was present for a while. And I can't think of a single New World cigar I've ever had with age that was at any point as peppery as this was. I feel like that's something that gets dialed back
with every cigar.
Age. So
I think with every cigar, yeah.
That would have thrown me off.
You know, it's like lately I keep comparing every single cigar I smoke to an exclusivo.
You don't say.
It only took him 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, actually, took 43 years.
Exactly.
And it's odd. It's like, you know what? That cigar is so satisfying. And so you wish you get some of those flavors out of this cigar. You know, some of that sweetness or that cocoa or chocolate would come through on this. And it would be an
excellent cigar. Yeah, no, that's
for half the price.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about the age because the burn line for me, I still get some ammonia there. Like it still reminds me of like a moldy cheese. You know, like the rind of a moldy cheese.
I'm not getting ammonia.
I'm not getting any ammonia. But
I don't disagree with Ricky.
I'm definitely getting it.
Yeah, no ammonia on the foot for me.
I'm getting a little pepper, but not ammonia.
Definitely like a very light pepper.
Yeah,
if anything.
And it's not flaring my nostril like it was the first time Senator told me to smell the burn line like that. Like it's actually pretty pleasant.
No, I'm not getting those same pleasant notes that I get from some other cigars, like an Exclusivo or a Great Cuban, where you're getting bacon spice or more, or notes that just lean naturally sweeter. You know, whether it be cocoa or bread notes or whatnot. I'm not getting any of that here. So,
but I mean, Giz, I'm curious. If this were blind, you would ever guess this as 5 or 6 years of age?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm not tasting youth. I'm not saying that this has age of, significant age that we've tasted in other tobaccos. Specifically Dominican tobaccos, like some of the best, that Davidoff Maduro. There is a little pepper there, but it is such a, complex, complete flavor profile. There's the sweetness that delivers a real, fulfilling experience.
Well-rounded experience.
Yeah, but that's a little different. Cigar, you get pepper, but you also get a lot of cocoa, and
exactly
that balances it.
That's
where you get the sweetness from.
Correct.
That's still not as satisfying as an Exclusivo to me. I had my first one last week, and I really enjoyed it. But
first Davidoff Maduro.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is in its lane right now, and it's.
I remain intrigued.
Yeah, I've never ever had a cigar like this before.
Yeah, me neither. It's uniquely. This is like one of one. You know what I mean?
But it's definitely for someone out there that loves this.
Oh, I can understand somebody loving this.
Sure,
loving this profile.
I just wish it wasn't a $25 cigar. I think the price point is a bit high for what it's delivering.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Right.
I agree.
All right, boys, let's go back to the rum for a minute. I have some history on Trois Rivières. It's a renowned rum distillery located in Martinique, a French overseas territory in the Caribbean. The distillery is celebrated for producing rum agricole, as we talked about, a style of rum made directly from freshly pressed sugarcane juice rather than molasses. This method imparts unique vegetal and grassy characteristics to the rum that we've been pointing out, setting it apart from traditional molasses-based rums. It was founded in the late 17th century by Nicolas Fouquet, who was the superintendent of finances to King Louis XIV. The distillery's name, Trois Rivières, is Three Rivers, referring to its location at the meeting point of three rivers in Martinique, Oman, I can't pronounce this, Bois d'Indy, and Saint Pierre. It was originally established as a sugar plantation and then transitioned to rum production with time. This distillery holds the AOC designation, which stands for Appellation d'Origine Control, which is a certification granted to agricultural products that meet strict production standards. This ensures authenticity and adherence to traditional methods. The distillery grows its own sugarcane, including specific varieties suited to Martinique's volcanic soil and tropical climate. The juice is fermented and distilled using traditional column stills, producing a lighter, more aromatic spirit. The rums are aged in a combination of French and American oak barrels, and sometimes, as Ricky pointed out, this one was aged in ex-cognac barrels from Limousin in France, and the barrels, of course, adding complexity and depth to the final product. The rums are known for their fresh, grassy, and floral notes, often complemented by tropical fruit, spice, and woody undertone. They produce both unaged white rum and aged gold VSOP, XO, and vintage. I guess this is technically an XO product, as well as limited edition single cask releases, which this is. They have a couple signature rums, the Blanc, which is classic unaged agricole rum with a very fresh, grassy profile. The Cuvée del Ocean, made from sugarcane grown on seaside plots, has a briny mineral character. They have a triple millesime, which is a blend of select vintages showcasing complex layered flavors. And finally, they have single year expressions like this one is, aged to highlight the specific characteristics of the harvest year. The distillery emphasizes sustainable farming practices and environmentally friendly production methods, ensuring minimal impact on Martinique's ecosystem. What's cool too, visitors to Martinique can tour the distillery to learn about its history, production methods, and rum making traditions. The stunning views of sugarcane fields and the Caribbean Sea add to the experience. This distillery is a cornerstone of Martinique's rum heritage, producing these agricole rums for over 400 years.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
How much is that bottle?
$150.
Oh, righty then.
So thank you, Lizard Shaky, for sending that to us. Very, very kind of him.
Very generous.
To share this rum with us tonight.
$150. I will say, it doesn't take much to satisfy you. And this dram that I have will last quite a while.
Yeah.
There's a slight heat, but I happen to like that. It's very pleasant. And the finish is really nice and sweet if you keep it in your mouth a bit longer.
The color is so deep and
it's a
rich.
beautiful color.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's a dark amber.
13 years. Yeah.
What do you guys think with the age being in the barrel 13 years?
It looks like a cognac.
It does.
The color is very reminiscent of 1738.
I'm surprised at the viscosity not being. I'm surprised it's not a little more viscous than it is.
Yeah.
It's a little thinner than I would have expected with that age on it.
But with the alcohol content, that's kind of welcome, and it's easier to drink because of the lower viscosity, I think.
I also think because it's distilled from sugarcane and not molasses, it's going to be a little bit less viscous. So, but I think it's really complex. A lot like the cigar, it deserves some attention when drinking it, and that's why it forces you to kind of drink it slow. It's definitely a complex drink. It does lean sweet, but there's a lot here where you're drinking rum, but it feels like you're drinking cognac, and there's even some Scotch undertones there towards the finish. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
What do you think of the price?
Look, it's a 13-year-old rum, limited production. It's not mass produced, so it is what it is.
With everything you said, it sounds fair.
Yeah,
for what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's high, but
I
do agree.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, I do agree with Ricky's point. It's a complex rum, and it definitely commands your attention.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish the price point were.
I mean, the price is approaching Santiago, right?
Yeah, that's
Santiago 20.
Santiago
from Cuba.
20.
Cuban
I mean,
rum.
that thing probably blows this away.
That's like nectar.
Have we had such expensive rums?
Well,
no,
Santiago
right?
20. That's
We've
like
had-
$160 bottle.
We've had that.
Yeah.
That's
one
the
of
only
more,
one, right?
That's one of the more expensive Cuban
Yeah.
rums we've actually done on the pod that
Yeah.
we love.
Probably
No, but that's the only
most.
one, right? I think.
Well, there's an
Rest of the
11
rums.
that we like.
Well, there's
too.
a few in the $70, $80
$70,
range, like the
yeah.
Eminente and a few other ones.
different mark maker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. When you guys did the Barbancourt, did you you remember what year or how many years was it? The
It was like the
3-star or-
entry level stuff.
Okay.
Because it's hard to, like, that's really all they have readily available here. It was not great. It was really harsh. I would not dare call it a sipping rum, what we had.
Yeah, I've had the 3-star, which I enjoyed. I think that's 14 years.
Yeah,
okay.
Still cleaning the carburetor with that shit, man.
It was in that little like screw top bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very appropriate. Degreasing engines.
Jesus.
So I do know this was a very limited release that
Mm.
Lizard Shaky sent us. I think it was limited to like 250 or 500 bottles worldwide.
It's fitting for this cigar.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why I paired it with this, because I was reading the story of the PG cigars, thought it was interesting. You know, I wanted to bring something that was a little sweeter in because I didn't know what the flavor profile would be. So I'm
That
glad
was
it's working out.
Great call, because this cigar isn't sweet at all. So it helps round it out.
So, Senator, how are you? I started to really enjoy this cigar at that point where you are now. How are you feeling about it? I started to get back a little bit of sweetness there, just a touch.
Yeah, there is a touch.
Just a touch.
There's a touch. It's. I like the second half of this cigar
Mhm.
definitely more than I did the first half. And it's because, you know, what we're saying, it's more balanced to me in the second half. I think the first
Agreed.
half leans way too
Right.
dry and way too earthy, but I think the second half is achieving some more balance.
There's almost like a grainy cereal thing I'm getting with this right now,
I
which
was
I
gonna
really like.
It's still dry, but it's dry in the way a walnut is dry. The way
Yeah.
a walnut has
Yeah.
those drying qualities
But
on
that
in
flavor,
your mouth.
I happen
Yeah.
to love that flavor.
Yeah.
You're like a cat trying not to make a sound.
Did you crack open your Guinness?
No, not yet.
Why not, dude?
Oh, come on.
I think-
we got to
I-
hear the.
I think it's going to improve your cigar.
It's non-alcoholic.
Let's do
Need
it.
to see you.
And it's
drink.
cold too. I had it in the fridge.
It was
Nice.
cold.
No, he wants to have it at room temperature.
I just like it in a glass. That's a problem.
All right.
Here we go.
Mm.
Okay.
Does he know he shook it? I'm just kidding.
Thing's going to drink like a yoo-hoo.
There you go.
Oh, it's a draft can. Nice.
Oh yeah. Only the best for my friend Rooster on his birthday.
Mumilo.
There you go.
So, boys, we have to go back to a story that we told quite some time ago, 60 some odd episodes ago, over a year, of a guy that was pretty famous on the Facebook scene for selling Cuban cigars. We called him Mickey Mouse. And there was a big expose done on Reddit that blew up. And I couldn't believe the reaction from people there. And I ended up finding out about it because we got tagged a couple times, people talking about the episode that we did with this guy. And Senator, how would you describe Mickey Mouse's operation?
How would you describe the operation?
How would you describe the
Giz.
operation?
Well, first of all, was it an operation?
It was an enterprise.
Oh,
He brings it up now. I got to clean this mess up somehow. Jesus. I would describe this guy as an enterprising individual who clearly saw an opportunity with a product like Cuban cigars that a lot of people don't know or understand very well, but is sought after and people certainly pursue aggressively. And I think he very cleverly created this Facebook group
/cult.
Convincing people that he and only he could give people access to real Cuban cigars,
Aged.
Cuban cigars. And in the process of doing this, for years proceeded to knock every other type of cigar that he did not sell. He said Padron is like a golf cart when you could be driving a Ferrari and smoking the stuff that he sells. Then ironically, as the supply of Cuban cigars started to become a bit more scarce, he started selling Padron cigars and telling people that they're amazing. They should all buy them.
How convenient.
So I bring that up because like that's how much of a shyster this guy is, right? To say that something is a horrible product and then all of a sudden be promoting it a year later. I mean, that's just how he has operated. And I think the biggest sham has been the age he claims these cigars have. You cannot buy boxes from the guy. You can only buy singles from this guy.
There are no box dates or codes.
No dates, no codes,
no pictures.
No pictures. They're not color matched when you get them. I mean, it is the most outrageous operation. And he talks about this proprietary secret aging program that he has, which involves him just stuffing a bunch of cigars in Tupperware
with wet paper towel
and aging them. I mean, it's like the biggest joke I've ever seen. And so, this guy is obviously not doing this legally. He's running this business out of some basement of his in some southern state. We'll just leave it there. And, this is a guy who my only frustration is just that, you want to sell a product and you want to tell the truth about the product. No problem. I wish you all the best and the greatest success in the world. But the fact that this guy we know has actively lied to countless people, that's the part that I think a lot of us have a hard time with. And we talk about in Cuban cigars how important it is to know where you're sourcing your stuff from, to be able to be confident that it is real, that it is of the age that people claim. And this guy's the complete opposite of that. So I just feel sad for people who he has clearly deceived for years' time that think they're getting something that they're not from this guy.
I think part of the reason why he was successful in the beginning, because you couldn't really buy singles of Cuban cigars.
Which Pagoda notes almost every time we talk about loving a Cuban cigar at a high dollar point, you're most of the time you're having to buy boxes.
And for some of us early in the journey...
In the States.
Right.
Some of us early in the journey, that's an intriguing opportunity.
And that's where he is. He's in the States. He's here.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the guys, I mean,
even in this room.
Yeah, even in this room, we were able to get some singles, and they were decent. But the problem was when you ask him, well, what year is this cigar? What's the age on it? And he couldn't tell you.
No information.
And his reason was, the way I aged the cigars are out of the boxes. So I have no idea what box this came out of. That's why they were not color matched. And he would age them in Tupperware. But not knowing, and this was kind of early in our Cuban journey, we had no idea. We knew what we were smoking was most likely a Cuban cigar. I don't think they were fakes, at least in the beginning. But not being able to purchase boxes was a huge
red flag.
And verify anything. That's the scary part. It's like, sure, in the beginning, we had smoked enough of those cigars to know what's real and what's not. But for someone who's barely smoked any Cuban cigars that's purchasing from him, and this guy preys on people, so he knows. He knew we were discerning buyers. There's no chance that he could sell us a fake Cuban cigar we wouldn't immediately detect it. But when he knows someone is new in this hobby, I'm to believe that this guy hasn't slipped a band on a cigar that is probably fake. I mean, there's no way, because he's proven to be untrustworthy. This guy was lying to people, saying that the scarcity of Cuban cigars is going to get so bad, no one's going to be able to find D4s or all these cigars. You must buy what I have now because you'll never find these things. I mean, it was the biggest lie of all time.
And he keeps iterating the bullshit.
Correct.
It's a constant
it
new
continues
story.
To evolve.
There's a constant evolution in his lying. And the reason why we talk about on this podcast and bringing it up because of what happened here on Reddit, which I'll talk about in a minute, is that this is a warning to folks out there that if it seems too good to be true, it is. And we've talked about that so many times. And this guy is just a scam artist. And he's a liar, and he's preying on people who are looking for something that is hard to find, is scarce, and they really want it. And it's just in this small community of people that we have in Cuban cigars and cigars in general, there's just no room for this. It's just not appropriate, and it's not fair. And there are so many good vendors out there who are selling good quality product at the correct price, and you can get the information you need, and you know what you're buying is legitimate, we need to steer folks away from this cult.
And this guy, by the way, just talking about being dishonest, he was actively telling people that websites that we are certain sell authentic Cuban cigars, he's perpetuating a bunch of lies saying that all the websites are fakes. Havana's, Cigar Terminal. I mean, sites we've bought from for years. Sure. That's why we publish the guide that we have on our social media. We know the authenticity of that product, and the guy's actively lying to people and creating this fear so that they only buy from him. And that's where when Gizmo says cult, like that he's created this environment where he and only he can be the provider of Cuban cigars, which is just a lie.
He thinks he's the Wizard of Oz. Like there's this curtain, and he operates in this fantasy land, a lot of people buy into it.
There's a lot of lessons to be learned here.
I mean, had he been more transparent about the whole thing and not lie about and give you fake details about this, that's what turns people off. I mean, it's okay if you're selling singles because a lot of people, want to try different marcas, but are not able to or don't want to commit to a whole box. So you can get a $5 of something or a singles or try different stuff. But be honest,
And if I'm truly to believe that everything this guy sells is real, why not, for those of us who want to buy the box, why not sell us boxes?
Correct.
You don't have to take every single cigar out of the box and do your bullshit aging thing. Keep some of them in boxes for people who buy in volume like us and sell singles for the guys who want to buy singles. That's not an option, and that's what's a massive red flag to me.
And the Padrones that you mentioned, he also sells Davidoff. You can get all of those by the box.
That's right.
No problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Wonder
Not
why.
a problem.
Wonder why.
I can't imagine why.
Correct.
So the reason why we're bringing this up again after so long is not to just trash this guy again, but on Reddit here, the user Kind Blackberry did a 4-part expose on this guy, and I couldn't believe the volume of responses. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people saying that they had dealt with this guy before, gotten kicked out of groups, and then a lot of, there were folks too saying, wow, I still buy from this guy. I thought he was legitimate. Like, it was a good public service that happened. And what I love is the response that happened after this whole Reddit thing blew up, that this guy first, he closed his group, so the group is gone. Now he has a little exclusive group. I got kicked out of both a long time ago for opening my mouth, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, we remember.
For the listener, I mean, this is like North Korea, where if you voice an ounce of dissent, that's it, you're out. I mean, Gizmo, this guy wanted to send him to a camp. I mean, it was insane.
Simply because I said, I forget, it was, it was when all the scarcity was happening right after COVID, right during COVID, in that kind of middle point there, where he was saying that if you don't buy now, D4s are going to be $50, $60, $70. It's like, the guy's so full of shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he then posts a response to this whole Reddit thing without saying anything about the Reddit thing. Clearly, it was because of this. A day or so later, he wrote, an important update. I've said it year after year, meeting the growing demand of my customers has become increasingly difficult. Over the years, maintaining and sourcing enough Cuban inventory has been a continuous challenge, and it's only worsened since COVID. The 12 days of Christmas back-to-school events that I do just murder my reserve inventory. So he's blaming his own sales for his lack of inventory and his inability to source. Just comical. He says, with that in mind, I have some exciting updates to share about the changes coming in the next few months. First, another firm is absorbing the majority of my business, and the negotiations were finalized late last year.
Is it 4 times earnings?
No, it's called the ATF.
And the FBI. He says, this means that all of our custom blends and New World products will soon be available on their website at prices consistent with what you've come to expect, and global shipping as well. By funneling everything through this new platform, it will make ordering much easier and more convenient for you. It'll give me more time to enjoy blending. He's blending, boys, and delivering unique products at better price points. Second, I will no longer be able to continue operating in the old world cigar market, the Cuban market, due to the inventory challenges, rising prices, and other factors. Again, additionally, dealing with ongoing attempts to not only tarnish my name, but my wife's name also has made this aspect of the business less enjoyable. I feel terrible for this guy. Those of you,
his wife. This guy, if you've ever been on a live auction with this guy,
he's like screaming
he's like
at her,
yelling at his wife like she's like works in a sweatshop for him.
Honey, make the pot roast.
It's ridiculous.
He's a master blender.
He's a master blender. Though he's a master bullshitter. Those of you who've been with me for years know the effort and passion I've poured into this, all as a hobby and not by any means as an income I rely on.
What a joke.
Heck, probably 100 of you have been to my house and have been privy to see the operation. I would love to go there and see the operation. And our families and children have made lifelong friendships. The time has come to shift away from old world cigars and focus on other adventures and get back to enjoying life.
Yeah, outside looking in, this sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
Finally, for my this is the best. Finally, for my loyal customers, I'm still here to work with you one-on-one as we transition to this new model and liquidate the inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for updates about the new website, which I'm confident will offer a smoother and better experience for everyone. This change will also give me the freedom to dedicate time to enjoying new projects. Thank you for your continued support as we take this next step forward. Mickey Mouse. I mean, the bullshit is endless with this guy. I just love, again, the sales events are draining his inventories to impossibly low numbers.
Yeah, and that inventory is low. I'm sorry, if you've been on any Cuban cigar website that sells legitimate cigars, the inventory is great. Go to I Have Any. You can find most of anything you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, it was low for like some time, but now
Years ago.
it's almost back to normal. You can pretty much find anything.
It's also because the prices are now so aggressive that like people are not buying and stocking up in the way that they were before.
And that's the main reason why he's out.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just sitting here absorbing everything you're saying. You know, remember when we first started smoking Cuban cigars, how almost gullible we were way back then?
We didn't know.
It's kind of heartbreaking to think that guys and girls that are looking for Cubans are going to someone like this. It's truly damaging to what we do.
It
to
is.
The cigar industry overall.
And that is the point of discussing this.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's not because we enjoy shitting on this guy.
No, it's a lesson learned.
I do off the pod. But on the pod, the public service that Kind Blackberry did here on Reddit that we're sharing with the masses here is that you really need to trust your vendor. And if it seems too good to be true, it is. And this cult mentality that Senator pointed out when he was talking about the way that this guy works, it's just such a shady way.
Of course.
And what we're doing is supposed to, you're supposed to enrich and share and give. And, we're always sitting with each other, sharing. Educating. That's what we do here. It's like, it's a real shame that this operation has existed for as long as it has. And I hope that he's honest in that he's shutting some of it down and that people will learn to not do business with people.
It's a good lesson because you want to tell people that are just getting into Cuban cigars, ask those that aren't trying to sell you cigars, like this podcast. And there are many other podcasts that aren't selling cigars. Go to people that are smoking them, that know what they are, get some advice, get some direction. Don't go to people like this. And there are probably a lot of people like this.
Exactly. And listen, there are websites out there. Chef Ricky has a friend who unfortunately got scammed by SwissCubanCigars.com. And if you Google Swiss Cuban cigars, you'll find stuff saying that they're legitimate because they put up websites writing about themselves that then Google crawled saying that they're legitimate.
Unreal.
You have to trust your vendor. Go to our Instagram.
Correct.
Email us.
Correct.
Like a lot of listeners do. Is this a decent site to buy? Should I buy these? Should I buy that? We're happy to help. You need to trust your vendors.
And if something seems too good to be true, do not ignore that. That is one of the first red flags that are going to pop up every single time. Just trust your gut. Trust your gut in these things. And the last thing you want to do is, as you said, talk to the vendor or ask your vendor the question, hey, are these, what do you expect the guy to say? He's not going to tell you what he's selling you is counterfeit.
Yeah, I sell fakes.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. Trust your gut, do your research and do your research on your research.
All right, boys, it's time now to go to some listener email. First one here is from Lizard Carlos. He says, hello, Lounge Lizards. Happy New Year. It's been great to kick off the year with your pods. It's always entertaining and insightful. I wanted to share a couple of tequila recommendations for you to consider. Fuenteseca?
Yeah.
Cosecha 2018.
Amen to that. We did the So on our first tequila deep dive, we didn't really speak of this one much, but this was the boneless bottle that I brought to Senator's Lounge.
Got it.
It was high proof. This was I want to say it was the 2012 or 2008 vintage. I do not remember the exact bottle.
That was a long time ago.
And that's the one I had at that event in Chicago.
And this is what you had
with that guy.
Yes, this
Cool.
guy knows what he's doing.
Another one here, Nueve Uno Tequila Blanco.
Nueve Uno. I'm not familiar with that. I hope he's not talking about 901, which was Justin Timberlake's brand many years ago.
I don't think so. I doubt that's the
Yeah.
one. We'll look those up. And he says here, on another note, I have to agree with Pagoda.
There we go.
Please stop saying I'd pay way more for this bottle. The poor guy nearly had a heart attack.
He's a value guy.
He's a value man. Now, onto a suggestion, which I believe someone else mentioned something similar in a previous episode. When giving your ratings, could you hold off on discussing the price of the cigar and the pairing until after everyone has shared their ratings?
That's difficult to do.
We'll respond to that in a second. He continues, as someone who has gone through the podcast twice and is currently on a third run, which, by the way, is unbelievable. Thank you, Lizard Carlos.
It shouldn't be difficult to do. We get the split wides a year later.
You know what? That's true. And it's a bankroll to pay it off.
I've noticed that price disclosures can influence how the ratings come across. The experience with the cigar and the spirit in the moment is what really matters, and those who are willing to pay a higher price will ultimately make that choice. Revealing the price up front feels like it detracts from the purity of the ratings. Additionally, I'd suggest having everyone share their ratings individually before explaining their reasons. This could help eliminate any indirect influence within the group and allow for more authentic feedback.
I think that's tough to do because anyone, until you've smoked a cigar, in most cases, you're not willing to dish out a large sum of money for a cigar you've never had and not knowing its pedigree. And that might be something you're willing to do after the fact.
The one thing I took from the suggestion here is I know sometimes we'll get halfway through the ratings and then someone will say, hey, how much is this bottle again? To me, I do think that value plays into the ratings on both the cigar and the pairing.
Sure.
So I think doing that beforehand so everybody has complete information, that is absolutely, I think, a workable solution to what Lizard Carlos is saying here.
I think the perfect example of that is a Don Fulano 20.
But I knew what that price was from the beginning, $250.
But I just I'm sorry. To me, this is a macro thing. Like any product, that's like saying I want to go test drive a car and have someone sell me the car and not tell me the price until the very end. And it's like you sit in the car, and if they tell you the car is $50,000 or $100,000, I mean, how you feel about that experience is dramatically different. At $100,000, everything better be damn perfect.
Correct.
And at $50,000, you're willing to make concessions. So I just feel like the same thing with a cigar. Like my expectation for a cigar that is $60 has to and should deservingly be way higher than a cigar that's $10. And that's why I am going to be more forgiving in how I rate. They were able to produce this at only $10. I have to be forgiving in some areas. That's a tremendous value. And if they can deliver an experience that we enjoy, I'm going to reward that. But at $60, it better be damn near perfect.
Correct.
Absolutely right.
Now that goes opposite, like with a cigar like the Aladino that we can get for $6.
And we rated a 10.
A tremendous, extremely tremendous value.
That's also why we rated it 10.
Right.
Exactly.
If it were $60, it's not going to be a 10.
Oh, no.
The other thing too here that I'll say in the way that we operate is that if, and we experienced this 2 weeks ago with My Father the Judge, the Cigar of the Year Cigar Aficionado, I gave it a 3. There were a couple 4s. Pagoda gave it a 6.
In case we forgot.
Let's not relive that.
My point is though that I am not peer pressured or feeling influenced by anyone else in the room, because our whole goal here is to provide value for you out there, our listeners. So I don't think anyone in this room is going to be swayed by anyone else in this room, because at the end of the day, what we rate it doesn't really affect us per se. We're trying to give you the most accurate representation and rating of what we experienced in the room that night. So to me, like if Senator says this cigar is a 6 and I rate it a 10, like we're going to walk out of here. There's no different. There's no change, So I don't feel that is a material thing for us. Like before we rate, I know what I'm going to rate this cigar.
Mhm.
Sure, yeah, and I think at times, there was a cigar, I forget what it was, but Pagoda gave it, maybe 2 points lower than everyone else, and I rated after him, and because of that, I did almost want to give it a point higher just to balance out the rating, but I refrained from doing so.
No, don't do
right?
that.
Because it needs to be
And,
accurate.
yeah,
Correct.
So yeah, I think we're all mature enough here on this panel to.
Sometimes.
And I hope that lizards out there who look at our ratings guide on the website of the historical ratings we've done, each individual rating is there. You can see some of them, certainly cigars that perform well. We're all kind of on the same page. And other times it's all over the place. If people are experiencing, different things in a cigar or enjoying it versus someone else. So I'd encourage you to look at that and, read the ratings and see what you think. So he finishes here. I've been a tequila drinker for years, and I've never really ventured outside of that, but I finally dove into trying some Argentinian wine, Macallan 12-year sherry cask, Oban 14, which I found on sale for $54 at my favorite store, Rooster, Costco.
Oh,
No way.
Lord.
Are you sure that's Oban or it's Obana?
Costco needs to hit the bingo card.
$54?
Yeah, that's been.
That might be the center square.
Yeah, maybe
this
12
point.
episodes in a row now.
As for Paul Roger, let's just say this bottle is absolutely amazing. Cheers, Senator.
Love that.
He says, thanks again for all the great content you're creating. I look forward to more amazing episodes this year. Cheers, Lizard Garifo.
Good email.
What a great guy.
Oh.
Great email. So, boys, before we continue in our emails, we have a couple more. We're coming to the end of the second third. We're coming into the last third now on the Paul Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso. What's everybody thinking?
The cigar has gotten heavy. It's gotten like nicotine heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
Yeah,
Am I right?
1000%.
I'm not experiencing that.
Neither am I.
I'm not.
No.
I've not really experienced a material change in the.
I feel like it's gotten buttery, salty for
Premier,
me.
yeah.
I'm enjoying it here.
It's fairly smooth. I can't say that I hate it.
No, not at all.
I kind of like this right now.
I do too. I remain intrigued and entertained by the cigar. I've used those words a couple times tonight. I find it's, you know what though? It's not a casual smoke. I'll say that.
That's true. It's not a casual smoke, but where would you slot this in? Let's say if you get a box or a couple of these.
Or would you slaughter it?
This is going to be an
Or
occasional.
would you? Yeah,
Correct. This
that's
is
a good
occasional.
question.
This is occasional.
Definitely
It's an
occasional.
occasional one.
But
can
I
see
think it stands alone.
Senator's scowling, so.
It stands alone in its flavor profile. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It does.
Do you not like this at all?
I don't like how this is
Okay.
finishing. I
Hmm.
don't.
Wow.
I said I was confused early on, and I held out hope because there were different directions that this cigar could take, some of which would appeal to my palate and others which would not. And it's just still ending too dry. I just need something more interesting in this flavor profile than like these dry, earthy notes with just teasing us with a hint of sweetness
Mhm.
when it needs far more to be a balanced cigar.
It's like your mom handing you an M&M when you were a kid. You want a handful, and you get one, and then you go back in the corner.
Pagoda, you're nodding as Senator is speaking. You seem to agree with him?
Yeah, pretty much. So I've been on, the journey throughout. It's been, I think, having the rum has really helped. Without the rum, I think, this is one of those cigars I would have put down, although I don't. I tend to smoke it to the end, but still, not really enjoying it. And, you'll hear more around the ratings.
I know what happened with your cigar. You didn't V-cut it.
No, but the
Correct.
smoke output has been great.
It has been pretty good.
Combustion on this
Let's see
cigar
it.
has been amazing.
Yeah, let's see this puff.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Oh, very
That's better
nice.
than my father.
Nice smoke output there.
Not that good, but we'll take it.
All right, boys, a couple more listener emails here, and we'll get into the ratings. This one is from Lizard Shawnee, bro. He writes us a lot. Always great to hear from him. He says, guys, as a fan of lighter cigars, I think you guys would like Lampert, Lampert, and Castagli stuff. We did do a Castagli cigar, I believe, on the podcast.
Did we?
I believe we did. I think it was Battle of the Brave or something, or Sister of the Brave.
Vaguely remember.
I
doing
vaguely
a
remember the
hearing
name.
marca.
Yeah, we definitely did that, I think. He says here the Castagli Mareva Spalato number 2 in particular is an amazing smoke with a lot of nuance. So we'll eye up doing those. We'll check those out. This one's from Lizard Grizzly. He also writes us a lot. Great to hear from these guys. He says, "Hi, guys. I wanted to make a suggestion for a cigar to try after hearing," and he lists a very not kind name to Tuxedo Timmy. "After hearing Timmy complain that you guys don't do larger format cigars and also keeping in mind budget. What about trying the New World Punch Signature in Robusto? It's a 54 by 5-inch cigar, and I've really been enjoying them lately. It could be a nice jumping off point for getting into larger ring gauges and also adding another New World cigar from an old world brand that has transitioned into the New World."
Rooster's going to love it.
I think so.
I think so too.
You like?
A Dominican Punch?
I'm just confused. That's a Robusto, but it's 54 ring gauge.
Yeah, I guess it's probably a Robusto Extra technically.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a normal Robusto.
Or a Robusto Grande.
Double Toro?
That's that's episode 1
Oh,
callback. All right, and finally from Lizard Nathaniel, he says, "Hi Giz, hope all is well with you. I'm curious if you guys have ever taken on the mold versus plume debate on any of your pods in the past. If yes, can you point me to which episode? If not, would you consider repeating your information on this topic? I know this has been in people's minds recently, given Jasim's video. That's one of Habanos' influencers with the fancy suits and all that. And it would be great to see where you guys stand on the issue. Separately, I recently found something which would appear in my cigar to be plume, and curious for your thoughts. Thanks and warm regards, kindly, Lizard Nathaniel." So there's one quick answer to this. Plume is always mold. If you have any white, moldy looking substance on your cigars, it is mold. Plume does not exist. It is a myth created by cigar retailers who keep their cigars too wet, and they sell it as an aging component and a flavor component and everything else. Listen, if you want to smoke your cigars with some white dots on it, be my guest. However, there is no distinction between plume and mold. Plume is mold. Now, if you want some technical data on this, you can go to fohcigars.com, go to the forum at Friends of El Habano. Rob Ayala, for many years now, has a bounty available to anyone proving that plume is not mold scientifically. It's a high dollar bounty, and it has not been proven. There's been scientific studies. Guys have put it under microscopes, etc. Plume is mold. There's a lot of different variations of tobacco mold that can exist. However, there is no such thing as plume. So any retailer telling you that, again, is bullshit. So if you have white dots on your stuff, wipe it off. Bring your humidity down on these cigars. Get rid of it. Change your environment. You do not want that. If it's on the foot of the cigar,
it's garbage.
You need to throw those cigars out.
Correct.
And I think that's ultimately what people are looking for. They just want to know, should they throw these things out or smoke them? And as Gizmo said, if it's on the foot, get rid of it. If it's on the surface, wipe it off, lower your humidity, and then have at it.
And when we say the foot, we don't mean on the wrapper by the foot. We mean literally like it has gotten to the inside of the cigar.
Yep, exactly right.
You don't want to be smoking and inhaling mold, but anything on the wrapper that is white mold will easily wipe off and should not be thrown out.
Correct.
I do want to make that clear. So hopefully that helps.
You might even want to water that cigar. Put it under a tap.
Rinse off the mold with more water.
Yeah. It's been a long time since anyone has attempted to do that again.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
We kind of like it.
I did it a couple weeks ago. I forget with which cigar.
Wow.
But it was just a little on the drier side. And I did it to protect the wrapper as I was smoking it.
If you do find mold, I would take all the cigars out of that box. I would wipe the inside of that box out as well. Wipe the cigars and put them back in. Maybe even keep them on your desk until you can get your humidity down.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, plume or mold is not going to develop unless the humidity and temperature situation is high. And temperature being around room temperature is fine. There is a myth out there about temperature that you need to keep your cigars at 50, 60 degrees. Room temperature is fine, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's all about the delta between humidity and temperature resulting in the percent moisture content in the cigar. And mold is not going to develop on your cigars if your humidity is low enough. So, and your temperature is low enough.
Right for it. Yeah.
The conditions have to be right.
And just to add context to that, I mean, you guys have some really old cigars, right? So, like, Rooster, what's the oldest? You're shaking your head no.
Oh, yeah.
He's got cigars from 1938.
Do they have any plume on them?
1814.
No plume.
No, 1914 and 2014.
He's got 300 years of cigars.
I know.
No plume on my cigars. But Giz, you might want to mention like how to lower the humidity down, in a pinch.
So I mean,
in a pinch.
Yeah.
In a bit.
A lot of silica.
The best way to do it, if I for some reason, which would never happen unless there was an emergency in my house and I couldn't get to my collection for a certain period of time, if I found some sort of mold or quote unquote plume situation on my cigars, I would isolate the ones that had mold. I'd put them in a Tupperware and I would get Boveda 58% packs. And I would isolate them from the rest of my collection, make sure the rest of my collection's humidity is also reducing so they don't have mold, and then allow those isolated cigars to come down. Listen, Cuban cigars smoke best between 61 and 65% relative humidity. Relative is the key word there, relative to room temperature, 70 degrees Fahrenheit-ish. And New World cigars, I believe, smoke better between 64 and 67. Some folks like it a little higher. But once you get over 70% humidity, when you're at room temperature, you're putting yourself in a position for mold.
The cigars are also not going to burn well.
No.
You're going to have burn issues.
You're going to find
flavor
burn
issues.
lines. Yeah. Yep.
So that's the answer to that question. Lizard Nathaniel, thanks for writing in. If you have any other questions or any other listeners out there experiencing this, feel free to write us. We're happy to help. And that's that, boys.
Yeah.
Great batch of emails tonight. Thank you all for writing us. We love hearing from everybody. So, boys, we're coming to the end of our evening here with the Trois Rivières Extra Old Agricole Rum from K&L Wine Merchants.
All right, Giz, before the French really get upset, the first word,
Trois.
Trois. Have you not heard of a menage a trois? I mean, come on.
Well,
Giz
Okay,
is like,
maybe not.
well,
Giz is like
Senator.
there's a fucking R in there.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
That's like
not
the one
nice.
French word everybody does know.
Okay, I'll try it again.
BAM approved activities.
All right, boys, it's time to move into the ratings. First with the Trois Rivières
Here we go.
Extra Old Agricole Rum. Bam, you're up.
Not that easy because I have enjoyed this.
I
really have.
Do you need a second helping?
I want to dig into this after we record, but I think I'm at a firm 8. The cost, it's a bit expensive, but the experience very, very rich. I'm still getting caramel on the finish. On the nose, I get really a deep vanilla. Is there heat a little bit, but I'm enjoying it. It's a very enjoyable heat. So I'm at an 8.
Okay, Chef Ricky.
I'm also at a very firm 8 here. I think it's a complex rum. I had a second helping, second time around, got even sweeter, much more rounded. I did encounter some parts with the cigar where it got a little tannic, and I think that was the cigar imparting its own influence. But I did enjoy it. I just think it added to the complexity of the rum. I love the nose. I love the smell of cooked sugar cane. And I love how the cognac barrels influence this. So yeah, it's a firm 8 for me.
All right, Pagoda.
I'm at an 8 as well. I think when I smelt it initially, it was just a bit tough to take. But then as it aired out, I think it was so much better. Like it was fruitier, sweeter, just on the nose. And then obviously while having it, I really enjoyed even the viscosity. Did not need, like with rums, I will also go for ice. I haven't asked for ice at all. It was very easygoing. A little bit of sharpness in the end, which I really enjoyed in this particular rum. Yeah, it's an 8 for me.
I just want to point out that having me on the podcast has really helped conserve water.
It has.
Correct.
Pagoda's a new man since you've been here.
He's evolved.
I've evolved.
So for me, it's a 9. I'm honestly surprised that the other guys in the room, given the positive stuff the three of you have said so far. Senator hasn't rated yet, but I love this rum. I think it's great. I think the price point's a little high at 150, but I loved it from the nose to the first sip, how it paired with this cigar, how it could pair with other cigars. I felt like it was the next level up from some of the other rums that we've had in its flavor profile. I love the vegetal stuff about it. I love the interesting, complex flavor profile. I really loved it. And I'm surprised I'm the first 9. Very happy with this.
Well, you may not be.
Senator.
So I'm with the majority of the group. I'm also at an 8. And it's not that I disagree with anything you're saying, Giz. I just think I can't not factor in the price. And we've had lots of different rums. I mean, there's only one other rum that we have felt we need to spend 150 or more for, and that was a 10. I mean, that's as good as it gets. That's that Santiago 20-year out of Cuba. I think for this, it's a complex rum. It's really satisfying. I think it just drinks like a premium spirit. I mean, you don't need ice. There's complexity. I think, the first thing your first experience with this rum, you are immediately like kind of shocked by how sweet and sugarcane forward it is. And then the more you drink it, you just keep picking out these other notes that are right there with it. And so I think they did a really, really nice job when they made this. I think this is a great after dinner drink. I think with a drier, balanced cigar, this is a perfect pairing. Not that it can also go with a sweeter cigar. I think it can. I just think like the ideal pairing would be with something on the drier, more balanced side. I would definitely drink it again. I would definitely recommend it. And I just only wish it was a bit cheaper because it's not something that I would buy as often at that price point. And again, at that price point, it's got to be a perfect experience. And I think it could use some more balance if I was going to more regularly pursue this as like a special occasion type spirit.
I was about to go there. I think this would be great in the winter, definitely around the holidays. It's got a warming effect to it. I don't see myself drinking this in the spring or summer, but fall and winter, great candidate for that.
All right, boys, the formal liquor rating tonight on the Trois Rivières Single Barrel Rum from K&L Merchants is an 8.2.
Great score.
Nice score.
Great score. I gotta ask you guys a question, and Senator, you specifically, because you talked about price. What do you think the price would be to move you to a 9 from a value standpoint on this rum?
I've got it right in my head.
Me too.
$80 to $90 a bottle.
I was going to go about maximum 110.
100, yeah.
Max 110.
See, I would have been much, much lower on that because
well, you're a value guy.
Nobody's surprised.
I'm a value guy, but not only that,
How much, Pagoda?
You can have rums like which are 12 years age, like in the Florida Cognac. And is it that much more difference where you're paying $100 more for this? Listen, there's a lot of room for it to come down. That's all
true.
I think.
But
I also think too, at 51%, this did not, for me, drink like a hot spirit. And I think pairing with cigars, like I'm actually looking forward. We have about half a bottle there. When we leave this podcast, when we hit stop on this recording,
Gizmo's going to kill it.
I can't wait to have this with an Aladino and a Padron Exclusivo. That's my lineup tonight. Yeah. I can't wait to pair this with both of those and see how it does, because I think it's going to do very well. And I think this is an interesting, complex rum, and the first that we've actually rated that's an Agricole that I think would work well across the gamut of cigars that we smoke.
I think the Exclusivo is a great pairing. Aladino for me maybe a question mark.
I was about to say the same
thing. Just a slight question.
I think it could overwhelm the Aladino just a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is also the second Agricole because the Clarion was an Agricole.
But we didn't rate that.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
we didn't even drink it.
We didn't drink it.
But the Exclusivo, okay.
We're still waiting for it to air out. It's been a year.
I think the Exclusivo is a great pairing with this.
I think this could go really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, what Cuban would you pair
Maybe
with this?
a Ras.
Yeah, he said
Ramon
Ras.
Alonis, yeah.
Partagas Maduro number 3.
Or number 1.
Or number 1, yeah.
I think a Bolivar would be great with this.
I agree with that.
The
Royal Corona. Royal
Yes.
Corona would be awesome
with
with this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go punch. I wouldn't go
no QD.
Cohiba. I
Nope.
wouldn't go QD from Cuba.
Nothing floral.
I would maybe go Partagas I don't know how well I would like the cinnamon type of thing that we get with the classic Partagas with this.
I think
a D4 would do well, no?
No,
I think it would.
but E2 would be a great
E2
pairing
would be good with
for
this.
this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
D4 is nice with this, but I think E2 would be more in parallel, maybe.
The E2's drier.
Yeah.
Which is what would
Yep.
go well with this.
All right, boys, it's time now to move into the formal lizard rating tonight on the Paul Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso. Rooster, you're up.
I'm at a 7 for this cigar. I think at $25 price point, there's a lot of competition.
No, we're not allowed to say the price.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding.
Lizard Carafo is going to be mad.
Correct.
So there's a lot of competition, at that point. But, the cigar, it started out really spicy. It was a very spicy cigar in the beginning. You were getting a lot of white pepper and black pepper notes, which kind of did subside. The halfway point was probably the most delicious for this cigar.
Second half was great.
Second half was good. The last third, for me, it got a little bit heavier, punchier, kind of more like nicotine heavy. So I didn't enjoy the last third. But having said that, I'm at a 7 for the cigar.
Okay, Senator.
I'm at a 6.
Wow.
Ooh. I think...
I'm surprised to hear that.
Well, he didn't like the dryness.
Yeah, I think overall, as I've said, it's just way too dry a cigar, which to me is not a balanced cigar. And I am like a palate that skews on the drier side in anything, spirits, wine, cigars, you name it. But this just did not have enough of a sweet note to balance out all the dryness. I think the first third, like Rooster was saying, was very spicy. I don't think it helped the cigar. I didn't find it interesting. I think it detracted from the flavor notes that I was enjoying, that was overpowering. I think the second third was definitely the sweet spot. That's when I started to enjoy it. But my problem was then the last third I didn't enjoy. And so really only about a third of the cigar I was happy with, and 2/3 I was left disappointed. The last third for me, I lost a lot of the flavor notes I was enjoying in the second third. And I was just getting tobacco. Like it had lost a lot of those distinct notes that I was able to pick out early on. So, the things I will say as far as merits to the cigar, the construction was actually very, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Razor sharp burn. The ash held on.
Combustion was good.
Combustion was very good. The draw was great.
Well made.
So it was definitely a well-made cigar. It was just the flavor didn't deliver. And I think at a $25 price point, it should never be the case that for my palate, I'm only enjoying a third of the cigar. And so, I can't see myself paying $25 to have this kind of experience again. It's a 6 and a soft, somewhat of a recommend in that if you like a really dry cigar that's well constructed, this will definitely suit your palate. There's no question there. But for what I normally pursue in a cigar, it's not something that I would pick up. If I had absolutely nothing else to smoke and someone gave it to me, is it smokable?
On an island?
Sure. But is it really, something ideal that I would ever pursue? It's just not.
I would be curious for trying some other Vitolas out of this.
Yeah.
Something else out of the Gourmet series. I think it's worth trying.
So for me, it's a 7. I found the cigar the whole way through to be interesting. It was complex. It was different. We called out so many unique flavor notes about it. I thought it burned well. I thought the construction was very good. However, the cigar is not for me. I can understand, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, on a cigar we didn't enjoy, saying we couldn't understand how anyone would enjoy that cigar. I can understand, as Senator saying, someone saying, I really love this cigar. I see merit in it. However, it's not for my palate. I probably would have given it an 8, to Lizard Garafo's email about price. If this cigar was $12 or $10, I think I might have been comfortable getting to an 8 on this.
Nailed it.
But at $25, I can't get there. It's just, it's not even in the ballpark of cigars at that price point and the way that it should, should hit each of us and should perform. I mean, construction certainly, but flavor wise, it was kind of like, I felt like I was playing ping pong with it, like table tennis in the flavor notes. And we were all doing that. It was all over the place. The last third was satisfying to me. I did not experience, Rooster was mentioning like a nicotine issue. Senator said he didn't really love how it finished. I didn't mind how it finished. I thought it kind of took us on a little bit of a journey. but the journey's not for me. I won't reach for this one again. But I'm intrigued to try other Paul Garmirian cigars, and I think that we will have to definitely do another one, probably from the main Gourmet series somewhere down the line. For all that being said, boys, it's a 7 for me. Pagoda.
It's a 6 for me. I think this was one of the cigars. I think I was leading towards that score from the very beginning. I was already at a 5 to 6. Um, I, one thing I must say, the wrapper did smell very nice. And when you start smoking, I did get a little bit of hint. I don't know, the sweetness coming from, I think, the dark chocolate and then the banana I got. And then that was it. It was, after that, it was very earthy for me, but a little tobacco earthiness, like not the pleasant earthiness, which I typically really enjoy as well. So it didn't leave a very, pleasant flavor in my palate at all. It was dry for sure. In fact, I had half a bottle of water for the first time along with this. And I think when we got into the pairing, I think it kind of helped, but did it really? Not too much. Um, Having said that, there were a few reasonable puffs towards the middle of the cigar, but spending $25, I don't think I would be buying this to present it to any friend or any of that sort of thing. So for me, it's a 6. It's not a recommend.
So the same score as the judge.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
Good point, Rooster.
I would not recommend that either,
I
right?
know.
And so it's.
But I think this was better than the judge.
I agree.
To me,
Sure.
this
to you,
is
yeah.
light years ahead of the
Oh,
judge.
yeah.
Oh my God.
The construction was great. The smoke output was fantastic. Take it for what it's worth. But it's a 6 for me.
Okay, Chef Ricky.
Yeah, I'm at a 7. My favorite part of the cigar was the second third entering the final third, where it got a little creamy. I was getting some pine nut, little sunflower seed, but everywhere else there was just kind of this volley between black pepper, white pepper, a little like apple seed, like when you get those tannic notes of accidentally biting into the core of the apple, which is what I think Bam was referencing with dried apples when you get some of that bitterness. Um, I think it for this cigar to be in my wheelhouse and maybe all of ours, there definitely needed to be more sweetness, more balance, more cocoa, maybe some baking spice, and none of that was really present. It was a lot of dry tobacco, earth. That was the dominant flavor throughout the experience. The rum helped it to an extent, but I also think that it affected the flavor of the rum. So yeah, for me, it's a 7. I think at $25 is a tough sell. The packaging or the presentation of the cigar is not great, but the burn was beautiful. It was very Davidoff-esque, very clean burn line, very tight wrapper, beautiful color on the ash. Ash held up well. At one point, I was pushing over 2 inches on an ash there. So the burn quality was great. But yeah, flavor wise, I'd give it a 7. This probably isn't something I'll grab for again, especially at that price point. I wouldn't be disappointed to smoke it. But yeah, I think at best it's an occasional cigar just to kind of experience that and see what else you could pull out of it, or see if it would smoke again, similar to how it did the first time for us.
All right, Bam.
Yeah, I think a 7's a fair score. I kind of enjoyed this because it was so different. I love the salty butteriness and the savoriness of the cigar. There's, like as Senator said, I think a few others said, there is a group of people that would love this particular cigar. I think a 7's very fair.
My question is, how many of us in the room are going to go and buy it?
None of us.
Nobody.
No.
No one. And I will say this, what's surprising to me and a little disappointing is when I mentioned I wasn't familiar with this marca, when I had just quickly Googled, all I kept seeing was people talking about how they really love that the cigar is usually like a lot of cocoa and cream. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. That's exactly the profile a lot of us love.
No, we didn't get that.
So
here.
I have to imagine that there are other Vitolas maybe that deliver that. So I
Or
would
just
be
other lines.
other lines,
Yeah.
and I would definitely be interested in trying them, but that wasn't my experience with this.
No.
I also have to say, just the word gourmet as a chef drives me fucking crazy. I can't stand the word.
That's a warning to every market out there.
You don't
Sam,
love
Sam, can you put that on your list of pet peeves for 2025?
That's number 11.
That is maybe number 2 for me.
Oh,
It's the
you don't
word
love a gourmet
and-
TV dinner?
Oh my god! I hear my mom introduced. Oh, my son's a gourmet chef. I'm like, Mom, please. Like, what the fuck is it?
well, you are.
See, now that we
No,
know that,
no,
we're going to start referring to you
Yeah.
as Gourmet
No.
Chef
You
Richie.
know, that's his new name.
That's his new name.
Yo,
Gourmet Chef.
Gourmet. Did you enjoy your cigar tonight?
So, boys, the formal lizard rating tonight on the Paul Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso is a 6.7. I think that was fair for the
fair.
experience
Yeah.
that most everybody had in the room.
It would have been nice to see it at a 70.
Yeah.
But
the thing is-
Pagoda fucked it up. So
well,
I'm with Pagoda on this one.
You should have rated it an 8,
yeah.
just to balance the score out.
So he,
Pagoda's not gourmet.
no. He asked
I
the
thought with the
question.
gourmet you would have added another percentage.
Correct. Pagoda asked the question, will any of us go out and buy it? No. But there are people that love this type of cigar. It's for them.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see the merit in
yeah.
it. And,
And it's
I'll
not
be
for
honest,
us, and it's
yeah,
okay.
the experience we had tonight, it really does make me want to get to those things that Senator just mentioned that he read in reviews, like the
Yeah.
sweetness, the cocoa, those other things. It's got to be in there. It just wasn't in this cigar, and that's okay.
it makes you really want to smoke an exclusivo.
Exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're all going to be doing that after we finish this recording.
I love all this exclusivo love.
So, boys, let's go through it again. The Trois Rivières single barrel rum from K&L Merchants scored an 8.2. And the Paul Garmirian 25th anniversary in Belicoso scored a 6.7. Both of those are debuts on the pod tonight. And, boys, we did not give out a Lizard of the Week. And we are going to give Lizard of the Week to our friend Lizard Shaky, who sent us this awesome
Yes.
and very generous
very
gift
generous.
of Trois Rivières rum. So thank you,
Well-deserved.
Lizard
And
Shaky.
he taught Gizmo how to say trois.
Well,
Correct.
you did. So we really appreciate it. And anybody out there can win Lizard of the Week. All you have to do is send us an email, a comment, a voice memo, or a fantastic bottle of rum, as Lizard Shaky did tonight. Anybody can win. So please keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're smoking and let us know what you think. And that's it for tonight, boys. A great night with you all. And happy birthday to our friend Abuelo Rooster.
Thank you,
Happy
sir.
birthday.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy it. Of course, we have to thank our sponsor before we close, Fabrica 5. They're a great partner to us. Go check out some of their cigars. And we'll see everybody next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.